Hey there, Sula here from MistyHilltops.com. Thanks for stopping by. In this video, I'm working on a 6x12 scrapbook double spread titled Louvre. I'll be scrapping a number of photos, and I'm working with the digital scrapbook kit Captured Moments by Juliana, Kneipp and Meghan Mullens from Sweet Shop Designs, and I'm not sure if I said that first name correctly. And I'm also using stamps from Art and Bloom by Stampin' Up and some other stamps and dies. So these are digital papers, so I first arranged everything in my Silhouette studio, and then I clipped the papers. I started with a template that I set up, and then I clipped the papers to that, and then I printed the papers, then cut them out. I mostly cut them out by hand because it's just straight lines, just rectangles and stuff. And then I'm ready to put them on the page. And here I start with a little bit of a like the striped paper that goes at the bottom of the page, and then I put a little paper strip across on top of that striped paper to give it a bit of a contrast and a closure before I move to the next paper. And what I usually do with my papers is I take a card and run the card along the edges to roughen up the edges. That gives more dimension to the paper, and it helps with the shadows, and so that the papers become more visible on the page. And so here I am gluing down the next paper strip, which is a little smaller and has some flower pattern on it. And so then I have the background already finished, and then there is another paper strip that will go a little on top, so you see that the background paper is still visible. So I'm not attaching it directly to the other small or narrow paper strip, but I give it a bit of a gap in there so that it sits literally only on top of that one paper strip. And then I'm ready to start arranging things on the page. I start with the photos and where the photos should go, and then obviously behind there are things that go behind it, so I need to be aware of these things. This is a journaling card that you can download on my blog, MistyHilltops.com, and it's in the September 2022 journal card edition, and it's one of those journaling cards. It's these journal cards, they come in Silhouette, and you can fully customize them. You can change the color, you can change everything about these, you can resize them, and you can make them fit. So obviously this originally was a 3x4 card, but I had to obviously make it smaller for a 6x6 page. So this is much smaller than the original, but it works for me. Then here are the paper flags. These flowers are from the Art and Bloom, which I think is a retired bundle from Stampin' Up. So I just stamped them. What I did was I also printed out just a strip of plain colored paper of the same, where I just used the color picker in Silhouette to pick up the colors from that striped paper there. So I know it'll hit exactly the color that I need. So because I do have colored cardstock at home, but the shades are just all different, and it bothers me if it's not exactly the shade from the page that I'm working on. And so I found the solution by simply just doing a little strip of the same colors that come with the kit, or just clipping a strip of usually these digital kits come with a solid paper bundle as well, and so that works there. So here this was our one day in Paris, and we were visiting, well, we didn't have time to go in except we visited the inside of Notre Dame. But the Louvre we wouldn't have had the time to go in. But we went on a boat trip, and then that allows you to hop on and off all day, and so we stopped at the Louvre to take a look around, at least on the outside. So, and then there are a few more embellishments obviously that need to go on the page, but I decided I was ready to start gluing things down because for the most part what needs to go in the background I was able to layer in the background there, and the rest, well, the leaves obviously need to still go behind the flower. So obviously what goes in the background needs to be glued down first, and so that's what I'm starting with the leaves. And you saw me, I'm starting with the large photo because it goes right to the edge of that one spread, and so that helps me. I like to start from an edge when I glue things down to align things there. And so now I'm ready to glue down this photo because all the other pieces are down that need to be tucked behind it. And this is a little word art piece. I think that comes with the kit, and I just really made it tiny. It's probably supposed to be bigger, like a 3x4 or something, and I just turned it into a tiny bit of word art there. And then I also printed a bunch of the ephemera that comes with this kit, and then I just used some of my label die cuts to cut them out that way, and they give some nice additions to my page. Now here I have to decide with the paper flags where they go, and there is some layering there as well, and so I have to be aware which ones I need to start with. This one is not connected to any of the other flags, so I can just randomly pick that, but this one is behind other flags, and so I need to be aware of that and start with that before I glue down the top layers there. I also roughened up the edges of this because, again, it makes these more visible. When I run a card along the edge there, it makes these papers just a lot more visible, and it gives contrast. Then I'm still deciding how I will put the individual pieces there. I have some word art pieces, and because the photos are so tiny, I don't want to put too much on top, layer too much on top of the photos, because a tiny bit of covering of a photo means a whole lot of the photo gets lost, of the motif on the photo gets lost, and so I try to avoid that. And then there's some more flowers that I die cut, and I also want to add those to the page. And in the end, I think it turned out a pretty page. I like those stamped accent flowers in the back, and then the little flowers on top that are actually, I shaped them. And so here I'm just one by one adding the little embellishments. So this is the clustering part of the layout, and I just enjoy giving things a cluster, but I also like when it's not too crazy, so that the clustering doesn't detract from the actual photos that obviously should. I prefer to be the center of or the central focus of the page. And so here I am still adding and gluing down, and there's more pieces that I wasn't sure where to put them. I felt it wasn't fitting there, and so I'm still deciding where these things should go or whether I should use them at all. And then I decide, okay, here's another flower that I can put down, and more pieces. But I still have these ephemera pieces that I printed with this collection, so they wouldn't work with other pages when I use a different scrapbooking kit there, so I wanted to really use what I had printed with this. But then before I do the final decision where to put them down, I decided I will glue the title, and then here is a bit of journaling that also will go on this page, and I decide that's where I want the journaling to go. And I have to still cut it because I don't like to cut them apart too early, because then I have to puzzle together the strips and how the sayings go, and so this way it keeps it easy. It's one by one the journaling will go together, and I don't have to read and think how it was originally written out. So I like to work with strips for journaling because it gives a little bit of contrast. If I was writing on the white paper background, then that would be fine to just write it on top of the background there, but here I want to use it in the design and with the pattern papers. And besides, I do like I have my own handwriting in a font, although I think this one is actually just a typewriter font, but I prefer my handwriting when I just use my computer to write it. Like I said, my handwriting was turned into a font. It does look like my handwriting, just much more neat than when I write in person, and so I like it because I like using the computer font because it gives it very much my personal touch, but it's because it's still my handwriting, very much recognizable as my handwriting, but it also looks more neat than when I just write it by hand. So then I finally found a place where I wanted to put the little cluster there. I have a bunch of other they were France related, and they were with the colors of this kit, so I really didn't want to use them in any other page, and decided, okay, I'm gonna put them down there at that little corner there. And this is getting to the end of this page. I'm going to leave you with a couple more close-ups. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Consider subscribing, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.